You are watching On Demand. Please do not try to vote or enter any competition or other interactivity in this programme, as it may not count and you may still be charged.
Today on your Loose Women Live, it's Ruth Langsford, Jane Moore, Katie Piper, and Janet Streetwater.
Did you come out before your name was called?
No! I came out when my name was called.
Start my spot, is it? It's a good start, isn't it? Hello, everybody.
dear.
Welcome. Hello, audience. Lovely to see you. Lovely to see you at home. Welcome to your very first Loose Women of the Week. Let's hope it's going to be a good one. Not the show, the week, obviously. Coming up, with the ongoing energy crisis, the government has now come under fire from their own climate advisors for refusing to offer energy-saving advice to us. But is it their place to do that? We'll also be discussing the worrying rise in anxiety and depression among the over 60s. How easy is it to have mental health conversations with your older loved ones? Then, 14 years after winning the X Factor, vocal powerhouse Alexandra Burke joins us to talk. Yes, very excited to see her. She's here to talk music, theatre and becoming a mum in her first television interview since welcoming her new baby. Talking to her later. Starting off, talking about the Prime Minister, Liz Truss. She's going to embark on a so-called charm offensive when Parliament returns this week in a bid to unite the Conservative Party after a string of infighting, rebellions, U-turns. She's had the lot, hasn't she? But will turning on the charm, Janet, be enough? A charm offensive?
Well,
Can she win them round?
I think one thing we do know is that Liz Truss watches this show because last
Morning.
week...
Hello, Prime Minister.
Yes.
Afternoon.
Yes, another honour, please.
Yeah.
Just suggesting...
What would your next one be? Dame? Would it?
Dame, yes.
Yeah,
Well-
Dame. It needs to happen, doesn't it? It needs to happen.
Well, this time last week, Dame Kelly Holmes gave the Prime Minister some really good advice. She told her to moderate her language, speak in a kind of softer way, and I thought Kelly gave really, really good advice. And then Liz Truss came out at the Tory party conference and she seemed to have listened to...
She took it on board?
I think she definitely took it on board. She definitely softened herself a bit. But I hate to say it, I think she's still wearing the wrong clothes and she's still got a hard edge to how she presents herself. And she's going to
People are nodding. Do you think that's true?
I think that dress is a great dress. I'm not criticising the dress, but it sends the wrong message. What's wrong with softening yourself a bit?
Is it her version of power dressing, do you
Yeah,
think?
but I think she's got the wrong message because you might say, why should female MPs and the Prime Minister care so much about their appearance? And that's, I think, fashion really, really matters. And it's something that women can use to their advantage and men can't.
OK, where's Janet Streetwater? What have you done with her?
I've done a Maggie Thatcher U-turn.
When has anyone ever told you to soften how you look?
Well, I'm quite...
And how would you react to
I
that?
can imagine.
Well, I'm not running Britain, you know, God help us if I was, yet. But I think that Liz Truss has got to talk to her backbench MPs tomorrow night and she's got to woo all these disaffected, basically...
By what, wearing a pink frilly frock?
Yeah.
She's not going to wear a frilly frock. She's got to wear something that's a little bit softer. She's still got a lot of work to do on her voice.
I'm very surprised to hear that from you, Janet.
Well, I think fashion sends all sorts of messages and women should use it to their advantage because men can't.
But,
men
but hang on, we can't say we want to be equal on one hand and then say... But when
Not
you're
everything.
a woman, you would never sit here and go, Sir Keir Starmer needs to wear an orange
But I do choose what I
suit."
wear really carefully to make an
you
impression.
do.
And I think Liz Truss, it's a weapon she could use and she isn't using. And her voice, her delivery is so monotone, it's so aggressive. I mean, if you're running the country, you have got to charm people.
I agree on the speaking thing. I mean, there's millions of people out there who are speaking experts, and they talk about, you know, honesty, authenticity, whatever, integrity in how you speak. And I do think that she could find a better way. But the looking thing, I just think, you know, Margaret Thatcher, when you're a female politician, you have a uniform. Margaret Thatcher had a uniform of sharp suits, pussy bow blouses. It was what came out of her mouth that mattered.
Yeah, but she altered her voice so drastically. She took advice from TV producer, the guy that produced World in Action.
That's her voice, not how she
brought
looked.
it down. But she also was very tactile. She got very close to her male minister. She used her sexuality. Now,
have you ever used your sexuality, Janet?
Definitely. Definitely. When I was an executive, I wore a short pleated skirt and a V-neck sweater with a school blouse underneath if I wanted to get a lot of money out of dreary men. Let's not...
But Katie, you do a lot of public speaking.
Yeah.
Are you aware of how you should look to get your message across? Because obviously you're always trying to fundraise and awareness for your charity. Do you think people do judge you by how you look?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we just wouldn't be having this chat about Boris. We wouldn't be talking about what he wears. We just wouldn't. But I think Janet's right that I use it as a tool for myself. So if I want to feel confident, if I make an effort, if I do my version of power dressing, I feel more assertive and in control. And I think whether it's a good or a bad thing, we all make snapshot judgments in those first few seconds when we meet people. So I definitely think it's a powerful tool to communicate to the world.
She is power dressing, isn't she?
Yeah,
that was a power dress.
I just
but
hate
it was
the
a
word.
cliche power dress, because if you think about it, Coco Chanel created the soft tweed suit in the 1930s, late 20s and early 1930s, and that look has never really gone away. And that's the look, by the way, that Maggie Thatcher did adopt.
Yeah,
she had a soft tweed suit.
You can't wear Chanel now. Look at what happened to Rishi Sunak in his designer trainers.
No, but, you know, you can wear a rip-off. What I'm saying is that a dress that looks like that, to me, that's body-conscious and with the aggressive lapels, I just think it's an outdated way of expressing yourself.
You said that she watches, so let's see tomorrow if Liz Truss comes out
See what
in a
comes out
pink
with
fluffy
tomorrow
Angora
night.
jumper and a frilly skirt. We'll know she's been
By the way,
listening to Janet.
Katie, I do think we care what Boris wore because we loved the fact he was a shambles when he went jogging in that outfit.
There you go, double standard.
I didn't love the fact he was a shambles.
If
I thought it was too studied, his shambolicness.
And look how overexcited everybody got about Theresa May's leather trousers and
her kitten heels.
It's like
they cost 300 quid.
Women can't win. I think you're right. If they power dress, they're hard, and if they don't power dress, it's like she's not being assertive enough. But anyway,
well,
let's hear what
Jane's
you
just
think.
pretty in pink this morning.
She's always pretty in pink. One thing that will certainly be on the Prime Minister's agenda is the ongoing energy crisis, of course. Liz Truss is coming under fire from her own climate advisors now because she has said no to a proposed government campaign offering us all advice on how to reduce our energy bills. You know, they wanted to do this public campaign, Jane, you know, like Office of Information films that we used to have. But Liz Truss has said no. You know, do you think it is the government's place to be offering us all advice on how to cut down our energy bills?
I mean, I presume doing a campaign like that would cost millions.
I think it was 15 million, the last figure
I think
saw.
that's far better spent. So anybody over a certain age can Google how to save energy. They don't need the government to tell them to do that. And anybody older that isn't maybe internet savvy are 100% energy saving savvy. You know, that generation, it was very much heat yourself and not your home. So put on another jumper. You know, my mum, for example, uses an electric blanket. So one of the big energy companies, I think, at the minute is giving out electric blankets. So I was looking, it costs 3p an hour to put on an electric blanket. It would cost a lot more. People get into bed and they're heating their entire home. Just heat the bed that you're in. That's the older generation's way of looking at it. I mean, I didn't have central heating as a kid, so that was how...
But I suppose they're saying if collectively, you know, this is a problem, you know, energy,
but what
where
I'm saying is,
energy
I think
comes
people
from.
know that stuff, so they don't... What they need is the government to help people with their energy bills, not tell them the blindingly obvious.
You know,
Do you
I've
think
got
it's
a-
patronising then, Katie?
It is
Yeah, I think it's patronising, and what those adverts do is actually just cause anxiety amongst people because everybody's already worried about the winter, worried about next year, and those adverts coming on the radio when you're driving or sitting on the telly just send you into a place of fear, and actually that's not helpful at all.
Well, we had loads of that during COVID. We had advice up to there from the government. We had so much advice during COVID. There came a point where everybody could recite it parrot fashion. We knew that advice. But I think now the parts of this campaign that have been leaked in the press already are, as Jane said, unbelievably patronising. Some of the proposed ideas were take a shower for a recommended time of 3 minutes. Now, who spends 15 minutes in the shower? Only men. Women, we can, unless we're washing our hair, we're in, we're out.
2 minutes, yeah.
2 minutes, we've got things to do, people to meet, places to go. Use your washing machine at night. Well, isn't that a typical thing dreamt up in Whitehall by someone that doesn't live in a small flat? So can you imagine you're trying to go to bed at night and you put all the washing on the long cycle and all you hear all night long, if the washing machines come off the balance thing, is ka-chung, 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 ka-chung.
And your neighbours going,
Also, you're here,
up!
As we say, your neighbours
all
will
up in
hear
the
it
morning
too.
when you're late for the school run and you haven't got to
And then wear a sweater inside. Now, somebody in government has been paid money to dream up that amazing thought. It's cold, so put a sweater on inside.
I was reading yesterday the book that Kate Bingham, the vaccine czar, she said that one business department of the government alone has 120 comms advisors. Just have one and spend the money on useful stuff.
They were saying it's like get your own house in order, isn't it? Get your own house in order, the waste that happens in Whitehall.
Absolutely.
Before you start telling us what to do. However, we did ask you, should the government give us energy-saving advice? And 60% of you said yes.
Oh, wow,
that they would welcome it. They would welcome it. What about the audience? Hands up. Do you think so? No.
They'll have changed their minds
one
after
hand
hearing
here.
our discussion.
They probably have changed their mind. Let us know what you think now. Have you changed your minds? Because that's what we like, good debate. It does help you change your mind sometimes, or not, as the case may be. Stay with us, and we do love to hear from you. Still to come, with new research finding that 4 in 10 adults have banned their parents from changing their childhood bedrooms. We're asking, are you sentimental when it comes to bricks and mortar? And it's the latest fashion trend to hit the catwalk even. Are you brave enough to ditch the iron? Janet's been doing it for years, she tells us. We'll see you right after this. Welcome back to Loose Women. Now, X Factor winner Alexandra Burke has sold over 5 million records in the UK, yet she says motherhood is by far her greatest achievement. She'll be here telling us more about becoming a first-time mum a little bit later. Also, we're talking about mental health today. How easy is it to get elderly relatives to be open about theirs? We'll be discussing that in about 15 minutes' time. Before we do any of that, competition for you, your chance to win a huge £500,000. It is the biggest competition of the year so far, and Michelle Ackley has all the details for you.
Hello from beautiful Bamborough on the Northumberland coast. I am on a trip across the country to tell you all about our biggest competition of the year.
Yes, that's right. This week you have another chance to win a massive £500,000 in tax-free cash.
Can you imagine having all that money going straight from ITV's bank account into yours? It would be life-changing. And what better way to change your life than with a new house?
If you won all that money, you could buy yourself a property like this beautiful converted chapel in Bellingham. It's got 4 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms and loads of space.
If that sounds like your kind of place, well, if you win our competition, it could become a reality with a life-changing £500,000. And remember, if you enter this week, you'll also be entered into a special bonus prize draw where you'll have the chance of winning a brand new motorhome. It sleeps 4 people and it's worth over £71,000.
For another chance to win, text cash to 82248. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to the website, entries cost £2. Call 09068 78 2248. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to Motor41, PO Box 7558, Derby, DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday the 4th of November. Make sure you enter before 4 p.m. on Friday the 14th of October for a chance to win the motorhome. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Good luck with that. Now, new research has found that nearly 4 in 10 adults have banned their parents from changing their childhood bedrooms. So is there a right time to take back a child's bedroom when they've flown the nest? And the first thing, they asked me this morning, because obviously Jack has gone off to uni. And so far, no, I haven't. My answer was I haven't changed his bedroom. Because remember, the producer said, like, is it a shrine? It's like, no, Michael, not that sad. It's not a shrine. I don't go in and light a candle to Jack every morning. But I haven't changed it because I haven't needed to, and he still comes home. And I always think, I've heard lots of you saying, you know, kids often come back after uni for a little while before they get settled. But I do know that when he is settled somewhere, and I think he's now got his own home, I wouldn't think twice about changing his bedroom. I would keep his sentimental things or put them in a box or something, but I wouldn't mind saying, well, that's not your room now. It's part of our house and I've changed to a guest's room or a work room.
How do you think he'd react to that?
I think he'd be devastated. As we've said, have we seen the poll? So many adults, it doesn't matter how grown up they are, the minute their parents go, oh, we've changed your bedroom, we've taken it back, they're all so upset.
But if you're like living in a house of your own, I think it's only fair that your parents can make the change. I mean, how old do you have to be before your parents are allowed to get rid of your bedroom?
Never. But it depends, because I've got a brother and sister, and my room was the biggest, so they changed mine first, and I think that's because when people come back to visit, they wanted it as a guest room. But funny, you saying shrines does remind me of one of the reasons why they probably did do that. I'm a big Michael Jackson fan, as you all know, and I made my room into a shrine to Michael. So it was in the days of magazines and all these pop magazines, and there wasn't a gap between the posters and all 4 walls of Michael Jackson and Bubbles.
Like wallpapered.
Wallpapered the room. So I ripped off all their wallpaper with the blue tack when I left. So I think they had no choice but to redecorate when I left to kind of manage the vandalism. But I'm so sentimental. When I met my husband and left my flat that I'd lived in single, I went on Rightmove and clicked save on the pictures the estate agents took to sell the flat and printed them off and put them in an album. Because it was my first flat. I'd lived in on my own and it was a sign of independence, and I've got them in a little album.
I think your first home, you probably always have a little bit of sentimentality, but you've had lots of houses, Janet, haven't you? Are you sentimental about if
Not
you sell
really.
them on? Or...
I love them when I'm there. I love making my home really quirky and reflecting my mad personality. But when I leave it, I think, well, that was that era, and I'm going to do it somewhere else.
And would you be sad if you've done something quirky, if you ever went back to that house and they've painted it beige?
Oh, I have sold houses and looked.
Yeah.
Somebody bought one of my houses and I thought, oh, she's put a beanbag in the living room.
I love a beanbag.
Even though I don't live there anymore, the style guru was like, oh, the answer is no, love. But when I move, I'm not so bothered about furniture. I mean, I've sold people, when they've bought my homes, I've sold the furniture. Very often I sell a lot of furniture with it, and then about 2 years later you think, why did I sell that orange chair to watch the telly in? It was so comfortable. But what I really care about is taking my objects, my little shrine that I take from house to house. Yeah. And you might be entertained to know that it contains my devil bendy, my knitted octopus, my Janet Street Porter snooker trophy that was made for me because I was never going to win. Yeah, my tin robot.
It's things, I suppose, isn't it?
Otherwise normal.
Things that make a home are the people and the things that you put in it.
I don't get sentimental about bricks and mortar at all, because I always think that when you live in a house, you're just a page in that house's sort of history. People have lived there before you, they're going to live there after you. And it's the people that are with you, really. And, you know, I mean, Grace has just left home to start college, so because she only left 2 weeks ago, I haven't yet redecorated her bedroom.
That's a bit too soon.
But Ellie, Ellie's 30 now, so we redecorated her bedroom, but she's just moved back in between houses, so, yeah. They come back like boomerangs, Ruth.
Exactly. Jack, your room's safe for now. Now, let's talk about fashion. The verdict is in from Paris Fashion Week, no less. The next big trend is crinkled clothing. Apparently, creases are in, the iron is out. And Janet, we're told, has been trying this trend today, but you say you've been doing it for years.
Yeah, I'm wearing the modern version of it, the kind of high street modern, crinkly, screwed-up clothing look. But I must say, the minute I put this on, I thought it's exactly the same as the outfit I bought in the 80s that was by Issey Miyake, the really fabulous Japanese designer who was the first person to do all the crinkly clothes. And my crinkly clothes were so fashion-forward back in 1980, whatever, that I went to a hotel once and did the most stupid thing of putting my shirt in the laundry, and it came back ironed. And it's really hard to get the crinkles back in it.
Yeah, you see, but that's the difference. That's crinkly.
Crinkled.
That's not creased.
Great, don't you think? I like it.
Is it? I mean, this is creased. That's crinkled.
But, Jane, I don't iron. My advice
me
to
neither.
anyone watching is only iron the front.
Yeah.
Because let's not bother with the back.
I only ever buy clothes that don't need ironing.
Well,
Yeah.
I've
Well,
got
we're
a
lucky now,
steamer,
we
and
can.
it looks like an iron, but it
Yeah.
steams. I've got a steamer.
Do you wear the clothes while you're steaming them? 'Cause
No,
that's
don't, don't try
I
that
do-
at home, kid.
I do sometimes, though, if I'm about to leave the house, it looks creased, I just get my hair straighteners out and just iron it with my hair straighteners.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also you can perk up clothes with a hairdryer.
Or the
Yeah.
kettle.
Yeah.
Like that.
Don't
Yeah.
do that over a
Over
hot
the
kettle, kid.
Yeah.
No, kid.
I have to say, it was my biggest attraction to my husband that he's a builder and he just wears scruffy clothes to work and I don't have to iron any office shirts or anything. It's perfect.
Well, I
It's
wouldn't
really
be
good.
ironing his shirts anyway.
Well,
Could
I've
I
I've
iron
been
your own
lucky
shirt?
enough to have boyfriends and partners who are obsessive ironers.
Yeah.
So I've never had to do it because I deliberately, that's the other thing, if you meet someone and they're going to move in, immediately do really bad ironing. 'Cause from then on, they'll be ironing.
Well, I think because I quite like ironing. I find it quite therapeutic. I like nice, crisp things. So, you know, it's that crumpled look. We were talking about Boris. The crumpled look doesn't do it for me. I was like, no, you look a mess.
Do you iron the duvet cover?
Well, what I do with duvet covers, I fold them and just iron the top so it looks nice in the thing.
Right, what I do in my sheets, oh God, I can't believe I'm saying this on air. I take them out of the washing machine and I hang them over the banisters because the weight of the sheet pulls them
it, yeah.
down.
That's a good idea.
And then they look ironed, but obviously I'm not ironing
But
them.
I think growing up with an army dad, you know, service personnel, they can iron. My dad ironed everything.
Yeah.
Everything was spick and span and ironed and shiny shoes. So I
Yeah.
think in my mind, that's me. I like the ironing done. Right, so we're going to take a break now. After that, our guest today is Alexandra Burke. Now, she's going to be telling us how it feels to be back at work just 3 months after welcoming her first baby. Also, after the break, after a worrying rise in what's being called a hidden epidemic, we're going to be having a candid discussion about the elderly and mental health and how do you ever broach that subject with your more elderly loved ones. So lots to talk about. Don't go anywhere. We'll see you right after this.
Tomorrow, we'll be joined by Kerry Katona. From girl bands to bankruptcies to healing the rocky relationship with her ex, she shares how she's feeling whole again after finding happiness with her new fiancé and becoming a self-made millionaire. Tomorrow at 12:30 on Loose Women.
Thank you very much. Hello, welcome back to Monday's Loose Women Live and keeping you company for the next half hour alongside me, Ruth Langsford. It is Katie Piper, Janet Street-Porter and Jane Moore. Now, in around 15 minutes, we will be joined by pop star and new mum Alexandra Burke. She'll be telling us about heading back to work just 10 weeks after giving birth. First of all, we're going to be talking about mental health, and this is mental health of the older generation, and apparently it has been neglected. This is according to charity Age UK. New figures have revealed that millions of pensioners are suffering from anxiety and depression in a hidden mental health epidemic. So have we forgotten about the elderly when it comes to mental health, Katie? It's never an easy thing to discuss, and you've discussed it many times, obviously.
Yeah.
But I have to say, when I think about mental health, we tend to think about younger people because it's so talked about now.
Yeah.
And maybe we don't think about the older generation.
I think you're right, partly because it's a completely different culture for that generation. They wouldn't necessarily talk about it, you know, and give up that information freely. They're a lot more stoic, not everybody, that's a generalisation, but many people. And I think even for me at this age, I'm sort of in my 30s, I wouldn't ask my parents about their mental health because it would feel intrusive. And it's that dynamic of
But is it
child and
just the
parent.
language? Is it the words mental health? Because young people, because we talk about it so much now,
Yeah.
you could say to a younger person, look, I'm just checking in with you. How's your mental health? How are you feeling? I think if I said that to my mum, she would go, what on
They
earth are you
think about
talking
people
about?
being locked up.
Yes.
Yeah, but I think it's related to loneliness, isn't it? And I think actually, for me, you know, I was a nightmare teenager. So when it gets to the time where my mum and dad are going to really, really rely on me, I feel like it will be paying my dues for what I put them through, you know, when I was younger. So yeah, I think it is our duty to check in on them. And
I think it's, you know, you're lucky, Jane, if you have a close family that someone's looking out for you. But I wondered whether this is something maybe post-COVID, post-lockdown. Loneliness is a terrible thing. And if you hadn't got family checking in to see how you are, then your mental health is going to suffer.
I mean, I think lockdown's had a huge effect on that sort of generation, really, because they've become more and more isolated. And if they don't have, you know, and I think communities have become, everybody kind of went into themselves, didn't they? But, you know, I think it is a huge issue. But as you said, the trouble, I think, with the older generation, so I have a friend, so his mother is, you know, really struggling with her mental health, but she won't have that she is. She won't accept that. And so for him, it's really difficult because he's trying to give her solutions and he's, you know, saying, well, go and live in this place where you're going to have company, which is going to be like a complete, you know, rejuvenation for you, and she won't do it.
so it's fear that it represents sort of, you know,
but
getting to
maybe,
the end
but
of
then
your
what do you do
life
about that?
Yeah, it's really hard, isn't it?
I mean, that's a familiar story to me because of obviously all the issues I had with my mother. I think there are two things at play here. Yes, COVID increased loneliness, but also for older people, COVID also wrecked their health in so many other ways. So older people are all on waiting lists for minor surgery, major surgery, long-running health conditions, and that will exacerbate their mental health. So now we've got the longest waiting list we've ever had. They're not coming down at a satisfactory rate. So not only have older people suffered from isolation, they're also now suffering from thinking, am I going to see out the rest of my years with these dodgy knees, this hip that doesn't work?
And the cashless society that we talk about, where they're not being...
Exactly. So the other thing that's happened for older people is they think, I'm not going to go to work. I don't feel up to working physically, and the jobs on offer, the pay's terrible, and they're standing around for hours, and they're too physically demanding. And figures have just come out that said 200,000 older people left work for good this year in one quarter. That's now, no wonder all these jobs are not being filled if older people just don't want to do them. But going
they
back,
feel pushed out with technology, like you said, cashless society. That's really hard.
So they've been marginalised. But with my own mother, I mean, she was comfortably off. She was living in a residential home that was really, really nice. She had her own flat. After my dad died, though, she sounds like your friend's relative. She became more rigid in her ways. She shrunk her world down. My sister and I suffered enormously because we couldn't get through to her. She would not go on a holiday. She would not go out and socialise. She wouldn't even mix with the people in her building.
Do you think it's fear, though?
I don't know why she was fearful of meeting people who lived on another floor in her building. That was incomprehensible to me. And also the fact that she would go to her sister's for a meal and then leave the minute her plate was empty. And she shut herself down. Now, that is a form of mental illness.
A loss of confidence.
Loss of confidence.
But then you probably wouldn't have said to your mum, well, I'm assuming this, I don't know, that, you know, oh, Mum, I'm worried about your mental health. Would you?
Would have gone down really badly. Really, really badly.
But you could say, I'm worried about you feeling isolated, or I'm feeling about you, you know, worried about you not having company.
It's getting the language and the strategies, because what the net result was, my sister and I were angry. We were angry with her. all the time because she wouldn't do anything to help herself, but we couldn't help her.
Yeah.
So we were in
There's
this
no
cycle.
communication is-
We were in this cycle of non-communication, and that was how our last few years played out. It's very sad.
But until we all get to that point, we don't know how scary that part of your life
No.
truly feels. So I think it's hard to say what you would and wouldn't do until you're faced with it, you know?
Yeah.
But I just wanted her to smile, to have a good time, and I could not understand why she wouldn't go on a holiday. I mean,
there also is a selfishness. I hate to say it, but there is a selfishness in that as well. That you have to say to them, you've got to look at the bigger picture. So if you're expecting your children to help you and look after you, there has to be a bit of give and take.
Yeah.
That if they're living miles away from you and say, look, could you maybe come and live near us? We'll help you. Because it's very difficult for families. That so many families are displaced through work. You don't have those communities so much now, do you? Of where we all live in the same town or the same village and everyone helps out. So actually, for working children who are trying to, got kids of their own still, trying to look after an elderly parent or help them, there is a selfishness sometimes to like, I'm not moving, I'm staying put.
That's what my mother said.
Yeah.
Wouldn't move.
It's hard, isn't it, to have that conversation, really. But anyway, well, we've started that conversation today. Maybe that's something that you're relating to, that you're finding difficult, or maybe you're worried about your own mental health. But hopefully we have started that conversation. And let us know what you think about that. We'd like to hear from you. Coming up next on Loose Women, Alexandra Burke. She's our guest today. She'll be telling us about teaming up with Jason Donovan on stage. We'll see you right after this. We've got a lively lot in today. It's nice to have you here, it really is. Now, this Thursday, we find out if we are the winners of a National Television Award. Yeah, so Loose Women is just one of 4 daytime shows shortlisted, and that is all thanks to you. So if you love watching the show as much as we love making it for you, please give us an early Christmas present by voting for us, please.
Yes, and in return,
Cash. This week, we're showing you some of the different types of property available in the region of £500,000.
I love this property. It's newly renovated. It's a stone's throw from the station with direct links to Glasgow. And check this out. It has got beautiful views.
There are 6 bedrooms, of which 2 are en suite, great family areas, lovely kitchen and reception rooms, and some great spaces to socialise. And remember, this competition is supersized. If you enter this week, you'll also be in with the chance of winning a brand new motorhome. It sleeps 4 and it's worth over £71,000. For another chance to win, text cash to 82248. Text costs £2 plus 1 standard network rate message. Go to the website, entries cost £2. Call 09068 78 2248. Calls cost £2 plus your network access charge. Or post your name and phone number to Motor41, PO Box 7558, Derby, DE1 0NQ. Entrance must be 18 or over. Lines close at 4 p.m. on Friday the 4th of November. Make sure you enter before 4 p.m. on Friday the 14th of October for a chance to win the motorhome. Good luck.
Thank you very much, Michelle. Now, today's guest has an impressive CV, very impressive. X Factor winner, pop star, film, theatre performer, and now film actress. And she's now added mum to that list. Now in her first television interview since becoming a mum, please welcome Alexandra Burke.
So good to see you. You all look fantastic.
Janet's not a hugger.
Oh, honey, you are today. You are today, sweet
You bamboozled me into that one.
Yes, babe.
I was
Look
cool.
amazing.
You look amazing.
Thank you so much.
And you only
Thank
had your
you.
baby in July.
It was in June. June? yeah. And, oh, gosh, life has changed.
Yeah.
It's
Doesn't
so
it
nice to have an
just?
audience. Yeah,
How
oh,
are you-
gosh,
how are you
everything's
finding
changed,
it?
So
hasn't
we
it?
know the answer to this, but how has it changed for you?
Oh, well, I mean, sleep is a thing of the past, of course.
Yes.
We all know that very well. But changed in such a brilliant way. Like, I've never felt so content in my life. I've never known love like this before. And I'm just the happiest I've ever been. And it makes me really emotional because, you know, my mum always used to say to me, you'll never know love and unconditional love until you have a baby. Well, my goodness.
You don't understand
It's
it, do you?
overwhelming.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to explain it to people. Like, you can't really put it into words. When you've had a baby, it's the greatest gift of all. And, my goodness, it's just... Like, again, I just stumble across myself because I don't know how to put it into words other than I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
You really deserve it because
Thank
we
you.
all saw how tough it was for you when you lost your mum.
Yeah, I think she'd be really proud. My goodness, she always wanted to see me have kids, but, you know, that wasn't in this lifetime. But I think for me, I'm just doing everything in my power to make my family proud. My mum was a remarkable woman that raised 4 children, basically, you know, as a single mother, really. And so I have so much respect. My respect level is 10 times higher for what she done, what she sacrificed for us 4 kids.
Well, Jane was saying
And a
this
career
morning,
and
when
everything.
you have children, you
Yeah.
suddenly think about your
You
own
do,
parents
you
as
do.
parents.
Yes.
And, it's-
And what they went
they
through.
did.
Yeah,
for
and
you.
what they sacrificed for you to have your education, clothes on your back, food on the table. You know, you don't take it for granted at all anyway. Of course you don't, but you really... things get put into perspective when you actually have a baby and you go,
But
wow.
now you've had the baby.
Yeah.
You haven't stopped work. You're
I know.
back at work,
Oh,
and I'm
gosh.
reading through what you're doing. So not only are you doing Joseph, you're doing Panto as well.
I am, yes. And I've just last night there was the premiere for my film that my film debut last night with Pretty Red Dress. That was it's just all been quite crazy to be honest with
Such
you.
an underachiever.
Honestly,
Honestly.
I've kind of just gone with the flow.
But how are you coping? Because Joseph, you're the narrator
Yes,
in Joseph.
yes,
And
yes.
it's
Black
on.
narrator as well.
Yes, well,
Amazing,
that played in the West End. So we'd done
Yeah.
it at the Palladium last year, and that was remarkable. And I just remember, when I was asked to do it, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to hold my hands up. Never heard one of the tunes, OK? Didn't know
any
from
tunes
Joseph.
you do?
No,
No?
I was not aware because it
Oh, I
wasn't
loved
in my
it.
school. And
Right.
all my friends were like, you've not heard it, you're crazy.
Yeah.
And I said, I think I'm the only person on the planet that hasn't heard it.
Yeah.
And so when I did listen to the music, I was like, I've really missed out. And so to do it and to be the first black narrator in the West End, it felt like a privilege because it's such an iconic show.
Yeah.
And for me, it's been, I think, my favourite show. It's been my favourite one
And
to
all
do.
the young girls that don't see themselves represented in those
gosh.
spaces, you're going to do so much for
Well,
them.
there was actually a young girl that did say that to me, funny enough. She said to me on the stage, we were about to open up for Act 2, and she said, so you've obviously been playing narrator for a while now. And I said, no, this is my first time. I'm loving it. And she went, so you mean I can be narrator too? And I literally, the chills up my body.
So powerful.
And I just said to her, what do you mean? She goes, well, I never thought I'd be able to do something like this. And I went, but you're playing in it now, which means you can be narrator one day when you're older. And I just thought to myself, wow, there is representation, and that's what I want to be
Really good.
within that field, if I can be.
Have you ever seen the Palladium Panto that you're going to be in? It is a treat.
yeah.
I have been to one of the pantos before at the Palladium, and that's why I begged my dear friend Michael Harrison, please let me be a part of this, because I've never, you know, apart from doing Joseph there, I've not done Palladium really, and this is such an iconic one to do.
What are you playing?
Oh gosh, I'm the baddie, Hans.
You're the best
I've never played a bad... Look at me, Jesus. I look evil. I look evil. And I've never played a bad character before, and I don't have the scripts. I don't really know what I'm doing. Don't know what I'm singing. Don't ask me. I've got no idea.
Just go with it, Julian Clary. There is no
there we go,
script.
exactly. I won't make it up, but I'll just have the best time. So.
Well, you've got Dawn French and Nigel Havers and all the gang.
I know. I can't wait for rehearsals. I think it starts in probably about a month's time. So I'm excited.
I'm saying take the baby because you haven't revealed name or gender of your baby.
Yeah.
Why is that? Tell people why.
Well, OK, so I've never really spoken about this, but obviously I come from X Factor, and that's a public show, and I'm very grateful for the platform that's made me who I am today. But in the process, and I hate getting emotional talking about this, but in the process of me being who I am, I asked for all this, but my family never. So, oh, sorry.
Don't worry,
You don't have to talk about it.
No, it just...
But you couldn't know the impact.
The impact on them is hard.
Yeah.
Because you can't keep their privacy sometimes.
And I think it's really... they never asked for it, I asked for it. So I want to protect the baby as much as I can and let the baby make its own decision.
It's the right decision.
And I don't need to be that person crying, because I'm very happy today. But even when I spoke to, you know, my friends about it, I was like, I don't want to hurt anyone in the process of who I am and the life that I've chosen. So
your child can
I'm
make that
protecting.
decision.
Yeah, absolutely.
When they see fit, or not.
Absolutely, or not. And I think that's... My mum would probably say that was the wise thing to do.
Listen, I didn't want to upset you, but I've only got 40 seconds. I just want to say, look at that picture. I mean, how stunning. And you're re-releasing this. This was your first ever album, and now you're releasing it on vinyl.
Yes, I am. And basically, my mum was a vinyl collector, and it says actually on the vinyl for Melissa Bell. So I've dedicated to my mum. It's a limited edition, and it's the one album that I love performing every single song from still to this day, and I think she'd be proud of this. So
of course
please
she
grab a
will.
copy.
Oh my God. Amazing. Listen, we're so thrilled for you. It's always lovely to have you here.
Thank you
Come
for
back and
having
see us
me. I'd
anytime.
love to
Good luck
come back.
with Joseph. Good
Thank
luck with
you.
Pretty Red Dress, your
Yes,
film
thank
which
you so
premiered last
much.
night.
Yeah.
Good luck with the album and everything,
Thank
and enjoy
you.
motherhood.
Love you, ladies.
Very, very
Thank you
much.
so much. Thank you
Alexandra
for having
Burke.
me.
That is it for today. Tomorrow, Kerry Katona is joining us. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye-bye.